You can study the same chapter again and again and hear something different every time because you're not the same person that you were the last time that you read it. Hey there, friend, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here, like really a lot. This is the 119 Bible Bootcamp, which is a special season of Beneath the Fig Tree where we're learning how to meet God in Scripture with curiosity instead of pressure. And just like always, there's no behind, just your next small step. So, last time we talked about word studies and topical studies, how they work together, and how a single word or theme can open up scripture in really meaningful ways. Today, we're widening that lens. Instead of focusing on one word or one topic, we're going to talk about chapter and book studies, what they are, why they matter, and when you might reach for this method in your real human life. And just to set your heart at ease right from the start, this is not homework. No one is grading this, and you're not turning anything in. This is about conversation with God, not performance. A chapter or book study is simply a way of reading scripture with the context in mind. You're still using the same tools that we've already talked about, things like definitions and cross-references, footnotes and commentaries, and then those digital tools like Blue Letter Bible, YouVersion, and Bible Gateway. But instead of applying them to one word or one theme, you're letting them help you to understand a larger portion of Scripture. So you're asking questions like, what's going on here overall? Or who wrote this and why? What themes keep showing up? What might God be saying through this whole section rather than just one verse? It's the difference between studying one symbol on the map and lifting your eyes to see the whole map, the bigger picture. One of the biggest reasons chapter and book studies matter is because context changes everything. A verse can be true on its own, but it often makes more sense when we understand the chapter or the book that it belongs to. And it can help us to understand what God intended in the first place. Because without context, it can be really easy to misinterpret Scripture. Chapter and book studies are helpful when you've read a passage many times, but you feel like you're missing something. Or you want to understand why something is being said, not just what is being said. Or maybe you're feeling unsure how a passage fits into the bigger story of Scripture. And just as important, it helps to relieve pressure because the goal isn't to get the right answer. The goal is to listen. We study Scripture not to become Bible scholars, but to grow in our relationship with God, to make Him more tangible, more present, more real in our everyday lives. You might reach for a chapter or book study when a chapter keeps tugging for your attention, or you feel invited to linger instead of rushing ahead. Or maybe you sense God saying, stay here for a while. And another big clue that context is needed, when you see the word therefore, that's a big flag telling you to get the context so you can understand what that therefore is there for. And here's something I really want you to hear. You decide how deep and how long you go. You can choose to take 15 minutes or you can take 15 days. And you'll know you've done enough when your mind, your heart, and your spirit feel settled. When you recognize that, this is what God wanted me to see. And you may come back to this same chapter or book later and discover something entirely different, because then you'll be in a different season than you are right now. And that doesn't mean that you did it wrong the first time. It means Scripture is alive and that God is still speaking. Throughout a chapter or book study, questions will often come up. Notice them, write them down, but don't push past them. Sometimes a phrase will remind you of another phrase, and sometimes a word will tug at your attention. Sometimes you'll think, well, that's strange, or that feels like there's something important here. Those aren't distractions, they're invitations. Around here, we call those tugs, gentle nudges from God, inviting you deeper into the conversation. Chapter and book studies give you space to ask things like, God, what are you saying to me? And what do you want me to do with what you're showing me? That's the heart of every study method that we're learning here in the 119 Bible Bootcamp. And inside the free companion toolkit for this episode, you'll find a simple structure for doing a chapter or book study. It's nothing fancy, nothing overwhelming. And then I'll do a separate YouTube video where I'll walk through a chapter and book study step by step so you can see how this looks in real time and practice it alongside me. But for this week, you might choose one chapter that you already love or one chapter that you've always found a little bit confusing. And just stay with it. No pressure to finish, no pressure to fill in every blank. Chapter and book studies help you to read with context so that you can see where a passage sits and how it fits. So next time we'll explore another way of engaging Scripture as we talk about verse mapping. But until then, let's cultivate a devotional life you love, like really love, because it is possible and it's so much easier than you think. Chat soon, friend.